Good morning, Thursday morning. Hope everyone is well. Here we are at New Lanark. Good morning. Just give me a wee second till I can just put my headphones away. Good morning, Mags. Good morning. Saying good morning, Ralph. Good morning. Good morning. There's the camera. Right, R. We get to R in the alphabet. And my resilience has been challenged this morning. Good morning, Mags. Yeah, I'm a little bit late. Left the house 10 minutes early. Got to the waterfall 10 minutes late. Why? Because I met a chap whose name began with R, Richard, and we started having a ramble of a blether, which was really enjoyable but made me slightly late, so my resilience is being challenged. So, resilience. So how do we gain resilience? Well, we don't gain it by suppressing it. We don't gain it by not looking at it. We gain it by experiencing it, and we generally experience failure. How we experience failure. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Craig. I just got a message for you, Craig, but I haven't opened it yet, but I will. Right, so resilience. There's loads you can talk about with R. There really is. Resilience. Are you reacting or responding to your environment? Are you taking responsibility? What is responsibility? Reconnecting, resetting. Yeah, somebody stole that title actually. Reset, reconnect, and some coach stole it. I love when people steal what I do. It's massive, because they've not got any personality of their own, because they've not got any resilience, because they're not really who they say they are. It's magic. Now, stress. Stress comes in many forms. It can be mostly a negative thing, stress. There are positive attributes to stress, but let's just say stress is a pretty negative thing. And depending how we deal with stress will then dictate how much resilience we have and how resilient we are within our environment. So, looking at the human body and the human brain that I talk quite a bit about, the nervous system of humanity has been evolving over 600 million years. The nervous system's been evolving over 600 million years, right? And the brain was programmed towards a negativity bias. So we are pre-programmed, pre-cortex, pre-limbic, probably even pre-cerebellum. We are hardwired for a negativity bias. It is in our best interest and for the survival of our species if we are able to seek out negative events, because it's more beneficial to seek out the tiger or the bear in the woods as it is to eat, because if you're not primed for the tiger and you get killed by the tiger, then you're never going to eat again. So on the pyramid, the highest form for our survival that we're hardwired with is a negativity bias, right? So learning about that we are actually pre-programmed for negativity and that we're not all just negative Nellies, that's really helpful. That's a helpful way to look at things, right? So we're pre-programmed for a negativity bias. So we're not pre-programmed for happiness. So how do we hardwire happiness if we're actually hardwired for negativity? So we need to change the program. And we are the programmer, and we can change that program. And how do you do that? Well, it's certainly not through positive thinking. Positive thinking, in my opinion, is rubbish. Well, it's not rubbish, but you have to live in a constant state of positive thinking, and then you're doing that from a cognitive perspective, which is about 10% of who you actually are, and 90% of you's unconscious. And if your trauma bond that you have with a particular people, places and things is buried in your unconscious mind at 90% of where you're at, then your little 10% flexi muscle is fighting with the 90% of the trauma bond experience, which is what's burning at the light of the negativity at the source of your soul. So, not a fan of positive thinking. Now, what I would start to suggest is, how do you start to hardwire yourself for happiness? How do you start to hardwire yourself for more positive experiences? Right, so enjoy it. Right, so somebody does something nice for you, or you have a nice experience, or you get a good feeling. So on Sunday, we were, giving you an example here, last week, Friday, we got allowed to meet up in groups of 8. So on Saturday, it was like positivity overload, right? It was like gratitude overload. It was just like, poof! It was a lot. So met my mum and my sisters. Haven't seen my mum for about 13 weeks or something like that, right? Because she was in Spain when all this happened. She was over there. Oh, don't get me wrong with FaceTime, sorry. I FaceTime my mum. I have seen her, but not in person for about 13 weeks. Nor have I seen my 2 sisters. So, went down on Saturday to see my mum and my 2 sisters, and one sister in particular is looking absolutely fantastic and was just radiating joy and positivity, and I felt that and made me feel really good. And then what came along with that was a kind of feeling of sadness, because then it highlighted how much I'd actually missed my sisters and my mum. Okay, but when I went home on Saturday night after having a wee bit of a barbecue and stuff with them, in their garden, and I had to go up the road because I was needing a pee and she wouldn't let me use her toilet or pee in her garden, so I had to go. What I do with that experience is, when I go home at night, I'm lying in my bed and I'm replaying the tape of what happened in my day, and I can actually feel what it was like to connect with my sisters. As I said, one in particular, not that I love any one more than the other, I love them both equally, it was just particularly one was in a excellent, joyful mood and was just exuding positivity, right, and light, and I really felt that, and I could feel that going through the fabric of my system. I could feel that going through every neuron and passing through every part of my nervous system as I lay in bed. And I'm not a fan of NLP either. Well, I'm a fan of NLP. I'm not perhaps a fan of NLPers. So NLP terminology here. I felt what I was feeling. I made it bigger, brighter, bolder. I felt it coming through my system, and I allowed myself to feel that feeling for 30 seconds, a minute 30, 2 minutes, 10 minutes. And I lay in my bed until I actually felt as if it had completely filled me up. I imagined as if those grateful, joyful, wonderful feelings were just filling me up from the head all the way down to the tips of my toes. And then I felt myself starting to get a wee bit drowsy, and I remembered falling asleep with a smile on my face. And of course you wake up the next day and you're already pre-programmed for a great day and you're feeling fantastic. I mean, I'm up and I'm out the house early, and we were heading to a waterfall not far from Lanark, half a dozen of us, to do some wild swimming, because our local river here's not cold enough, right? So again, connections, good banter, good chat, lots of fun, lots of laughter, lots of connection, lots of understanding. How did that make me feel? Made me feel fantastic, made me feel great. So how do you upload? So as I said, for those that have just joined in, we're not hardwired for happiness. There is no hardwiredness in our computer network for happiness. We have what's called a negativity bias, and we're always looking for the negative. We're always looking, and that's been built up over 600 million years in our nervous system to protect us from death or life-threatening situations. So how do you hardwire yourself for happiness? So the experience over the weekend, Sunday, met up with my friends, did a bit of wild swimming, blah, blah, blah. When I got home that night, I'm in my bed, I'm doing my wee 10 minutes of reading before I go to sleep, and I'm noticing how I'm feeling. I'm reflecting over my day. I'm letting the tape rewind over all the things that happened, and then you catch that experience, and you remember how it made you feel. The conversation that we had, the way that we spent our time, the way that we honoured each other and were grateful for each other's presence, all that kind of stuff. Turn it up, turn those feelings up, install new programs. Now, you're not going to get it after a minute. It's It's like, as I said many times before, you go to church, you feel all right. When you're at church, you go to football, you feel all right, you have a good experience. You go on a retreat for a week, you go on holiday for 2 weeks. You're no home 2 days, are you? And you're back to feeling absolutely terrible again. So, how do you build resilience? You build resilience, and this is where the hard work comes. What we're looking for is we're looking for the external circumstance, people, places and things to take accountability and responsibility for our emotional and mental health. That is not going to work. So, all the R's, responsibility. Taking responsibility for your own resilience. Because if you go, you get a new car, you feel great, 3 days later the feeling's gone. You go on holiday for 2 weeks, you have an absolutely fantastic time. You're home 3 days, you're back at work. Boom, reality kicks back in again. And somewhere all those feelings that you gained, all those positive emotions and experiences with the people, places and things that you met disappear, right? We go to church, I go to church on a Sunday when it's open, feel good when I come out. God, not even out the door 10 minutes and that feeling's gone, okay? Because nobody's actually teaching us how to take responsibility for our own emotional, spiritual, mental health, emotional well-being, and how to build resilience. And how you build resilience is you're in control. You can learn how to redirect your focus of mindset onto more positive experiences. Now, science will show us that there's a half a dozen negative things that we look at. We're pre-programmed to look for negative news, right? We then focus more on the negative news than we need to, right? The list just goes on and on and on, right? So, is this something that you might have done? So, some stuff's going down at your work, there's redundancies, or you hear that somebody get paid off, and rather than being concerned about the person that's getting paid off, all right, Robin's just get paid off from my work, I just find out, Robin's getting paid off from my work. So rather than thinking, oh God, that's awful, Robin must be really struggling. Robert's family must be finding it really difficult right now. Oh goodness, what are they going to do for money? We're in a recession, etc, etc, etc. What I do is go, oh, if Robin's been paid off, there's maybe a likelihood that I'm getting paid off, right? So then I just turn it to me. I'm getting paid off. So then what you do is you turn into a detective, right? You turn into private eye. And you start going round and you start thinking who would know something that would know something, and you start phoning everybody. Have you heard that Robin's been made redundant? Yeah, but what you start doing is you start digging, you start manipulating the situation, you start finding out what was going on behind it and what's been happening in the business and what's been happening with the manager and the CEO. And then you make these string of phone calls to people, right? You go through the gardens and the back doors and all the rest of it, and then you've built your case and you sit there and you make your decision whether you're getting paid off, you're getting made redundant next or not. Now, you will find the truth that will fulfill your own internal narrative out of the investigations that you have done, right? Because you've got a negativity bias and you're wanting to look for the worst possible outcome. Why? So you can be prepared for it, right? Because if you can deal with that, then you can go out scavenging for food and you won't go hungry. Now, that's how we're hardwired for. We've got a negativity bias. How do you start to hardwire yourself for happiness and more positive experiences in your life? Well, this is a suggestion. There's many. Okay, you've got something going on. You've got a bit of fear. So there's a bit of fear comes up in your body. There's a bit of anxiety comes up in your body. Okay, become aware of it. Bring yourself into a place of mindfulness, right? Once you're starting to feel mindful about it, just feel those feelings and let them dissipate, okay? See, once they've dissipated, normally that's where you would get up and think, yes, I've won a watch, I've managed to get rid of that anxiety or that negative thinking. That's not enough. That's you turning on the computer, that's you booting the computer up, that's you turning on, but you're not going into documents, right? You might be looking at the document, but you're not going in and changing the documents. So this is what you do in the computer. So you've got this feeling, be it anxiety, negativity, grief, anger, failure, shame, resentment, whatever the feeling is you've got, feel it in your body, let that feeling come up, okay? Be an observer, witness the feeling, right? Folk are making money out of that, could you believe it? Become the witness, just witness your feelings and your emotions, right? Magic, not enough, sorry. Witness them, let them come up, let them pass. See, once they've passed, replace them. If you've been tuning in, my experience was with my sisters and my mother at the weekend having a barbecue. Fantastic, great feeling, made me feel fulfilled, made me feel belonged, made me feel part of something bigger than me. Brilliant. So, got the resentment feeling, let go of the resentment, let it come up, let it wash away. Observe it like it's a passing car and you don't get in it. Great, all that new age stuff, fantastic. And then what you do is fill it up with something good. Fill it up with a good memory. So invoke the memory. Invoke the good positive memory that you have. And then replace that feeling. So it's experience, replace, right? Build up, right? So there's something to do around about how to increase resilience. Now, with resilience, you need a degree of responsibility because you've got to then become in the driver's seat of your own reality, right? Our responsibility. Now, we all want somebody else to take responsibility for us. We really do. We all want somebody to come along and take responsibility and wave a magic wand. And that's why a lot of these personal help gurus and coaches and stuff like that get a lot of attention, because this person's going to make me better. This person's going to make me feel better, right? And a lot of them get off in that. They promote themselves as working with celebrities. So what? Or I only work with elite athletes. It's just all ego. All ego and nae knickers, that's what I say. Now, responsibility. We're all looking for somebody to make it better for us. Whether that's our loved ones, our husband, our wife, our coach, our mentor. But a good coach or mentor will actually teach you how to take responsibility for your own life, and that you're in the driver's seat, and everything that's in your environment has a direct association to your internal narrative, and at some level you need this to be happening for whatever that reason may be, right? So, responsibility. Stop blaming others. Stop blaming people, places and things, and pull the responsibility back to ourselves. Pull the responsibility back to us, right? So this is really tied in with resilience. And if I've got time, I'll keep talking and speak about reacting or responding to your environment. So taking responsibility, taking accountability for the self. Okay, there's only two ways to go through life. It's quite simple. You're either in the passenger seat or you're in the driver's seat, right? Now, a lot of us don't want to get into the driver's seat, because then if it messes up, we've only got ourselves to blame. Whereas if we ask advice for somebody, giving them the driver's seat, giving them control over our reality, and it goes wrong, well, subconsciously or unconsciously or even consciously, we can blame them for the advice that they gave us, right? Because that's easier to deal with than it is to deal with putting ourselves in the pedestal, making the choice on ourselves, and it might not work out. But resilience is born through failure, right? Resilience is born through failure. It's not if everything goes easy, you're not going to build resilience, right? So it's how you face failure, okay, and how you will then build resilience. So take responsibility, pull the responsibility back to you, and that you're creating a world that you need to create in order for you to get beyond it. Stop blaming external stuff. Stop blaming people, places and things, right? Next. Morning, everybody. Sorry, I wasn't looking there. I've just been on, as I said, I've just been powering this walk. I'm running a wee bit late. So, are you reacting or responding to your environment? Now, Viktor Frankl has a great quote. Viktor Frankl. He says, now I forgot the quote. That's embarrassing. Between stimuli and response, there is a space. Between stimuli and response, there is a space, right? How do you inhabit that space? How do you inhabit that space? Well, mindfulness around about the stimuli, because our environment is completely shaping our reality, right? Through years of conditioning, years of installed belief systems, we are reacting or responding to our environment consistently. Absolutely consistently. It's constant. Now, based on your experience, based on your conditioning would have a direct effect on whether you're reacting or responding to it. So between stimuli and response, there is a space. How do you start to live in that space? Well, first you become aware of your own body, your own biochemistry, your own nervous system, and you start to feel what it's like when you look at something, right? What does looking at trees give you, or looking at puppies give you? Do they scare you? Do dogs scare you? Do cats scare you? How's your body reacting to your external environment? So that's you getting a sense of what the stimulus is. And then there's the space. And then, for a lot of people, there is no space. Somebody says something, you're triggered, bang. People that are doing time for knife crimes and violent assaults, the majority of them aren't bad people. They've just got an issue with their default network in their brain, and the place of that reaction time is minuscule because they're constantly on guard, because the majority of them may have came from traumatised or extremely stressful backgrounds. They don't have a functioning prefrontal cortex. They don't have any ability to slow down the pace, because everything that's said to them is a threat. So somebody says something very quickly, there's a knife pulled and it's stabbed, the guy's dead, and the guy that done it's doing 17 years in prison. Now, the issue that the person had might not be with violence or anger. It may just be that there's a difficulty with how they're reacting to their environment, because their default network in their brain, and also because their prefrontal cortex is offline because they've lived in an extremely traumatised environment, right? So, how do you start to live in that space? So you experience the stimuli, right? And then you experience your response or your reaction to it. And what you start to do is you start to develop that muscle, you start to appreciate that, and you start to stretch the experience and the time so that you can live in the silence. Start to live in a place of non-reaction, right? Now, that might come through as starting to develop yourself as being slightly more assertive. Now, if you've never been assertive in your life and it comes across and you're beginning this journey, it's going to come across as aggressive and you're going to stand on a few people's toes, and that's not going to feel very nice. But remember, when you were trying to walk, you might have pulled a few things or pulled a few covers off of tables and smashed a few things and pulled a few tables over, but you kept doing it, and now most of us can walk pretty efficiently. Now, resilience. Are you reacting or responding to your environment, right? And responsibility. So, let's just imagine that we inhabit this electromagnetic field that's responding to our every command, right? If you are reacting to this, and throwing the bit of a hippie word here, but the energy, if you're throwing the energy of reaction, that reaction vibe out into the environment, would that make your environment close up? Is that a contractive experience for you and everyone else that's involved in your holodeck, or is it an expansive experience? So as George Kelly would put it, are you loosely construing or tightly construing around about your environment? Now, for you coaches that have only ever done a weekend in NLP and became a coach because you went and saw some celebrity lifestyle superstar in a hotel in Glasgow, the founding forefather in this kind of work is a guy called George Kelly, 1955, and it's personal construct psychology. So it might be helpful for you to read about some of that stuff, guys, because that came about a long time before your wee weekend in NLP. Now, are you loosely or tightly construing around about the way that you're reacting or responding to your environment? Does that then mean that your world is closing down and becoming smaller, or your world is becoming more open? There's more synchronicities, more coincidences, more things start to happen at the right time, and you start to live your life more in flow. Now, those areas, those key success areas in people's lives, are a direct effect of whether you're reacting or responding to your world, both internally and externally. So how you're reacting to your thoughts, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that, close it down, repress it, project it, right? So then all of a sudden it becomes a very, very, very complex structure. It becomes a very, very complex machine, computer system that's starting to throw many glitches into the matrix, right? So ask yourself these questions: resilience, responsibility, and am I reacting or responding to my environment? and how are any of the belief systems that I'm carrying, are they helpful or erroneous to my development? Is the way that I'm thinking about this situation, is it helpful or erroneous to me? If it's erroneous, get yourself help. There's loads of ways you can get help. There's loads of free help. There's loads of mental health charities around about. There's loads of help out there. But until you get to a point of acceptance around about that it's your responsibility to change the way that you're thinking about people, places and things, you're never going to be able to move forward. So first step, acceptance, right? And then you start to build up resilience through trust, like-minded people, groups, fellowship meetings, psychology meeting groups, reading groups, book groups, wild swimming groups, walking groups, anything at all that you can do with people that you begin to develop some kind of trust with, because you get to realise that we've all went through the same sort of stuff. That'll help build resilience, start taking responsibility, become more accountable for the situations that's occurring in your life, and are you reacting or responding to your environment, and what can you do about it? Have a fantastic day, and yeah, I tripped up there. Yeah, have a fantastic day, and almost Friday. Yes, take care and see you tomorrow. Bye.